Matt, Alibaba's just dropped their latest version of Qwen 2.5. So this is Deepseek, followed by Qwen. This is now a much bigger issue. It's not just about China, US. This is about open source versus closed source. What are they promising at Alibaba?
Yeah, that's right. So, I mean, I guess this kind of plays the point I just said, that, you know, that the AI market is evolving at a really rapid pace, and yeah, we've seen this with the QN model. I think right now it's too early to say, but obviously the headlines from Alibaba that this new model outperforms the Deepseek model across a whole range of kind of industry standard benchmarks now. There's a lot of gaming of these benchmarks, so I think we'll have to wait perhaps a matter of hours or days whilst engineers get their hands on this new Alibaba model to see how it performs.
So first it was Deepseek. Now it's Alibaba. Soon you're going to hear Baidu and the rest, as the sun keeps rising in the east again. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, The Wealthy Mindset. It's yours truly, Money Making Mitch. And as usual guys, this is not financial advice. Please do your own due diligence and research. So I've been saying this for about a year ago, and I saw it happening, and I started investing heavily, of course, into our baby NIO and a couple other Chinese companies, but especially NIO and UXIN, as well as another one that I spoke about briefly on this channel before that I believe will make me a lot of money in the next 5 years. So it was just basic common sense and critical thinking to see what was happening, whilst the media here in the West were telling us China is uninvestable and their economy is spiraling downwards. Just like they've been saying, NIO is cash burning and they're wasting time with making their own chips, their own phones, the battery swapping stations, etc., etc. While William Lee, and they do that in order to short it, to bring the share price down so their friends can keep buying, and I talked about that. So whilst all of this is happening, we saw Volkswagen are now open, and I did a video on that yesterday, to any partnerships. And also I said you're going to see others like BMW and the rest crumbling if they don't accept battery swapping or team up with NIO. And this is why at one point Mercedes and Volkswagen, they went over to China to take a look at the battery swap station. This is about a year ago, but because of politics, they have to wait till the company get to a certain point to justify the partnership to their own government and people, especially people and the sentiment. Well, other companies are also going to crumble, because you may say, well, American auto industry is exempt from that, right? Wrong. Because China is going worldwide. Of course, Europe has the heavy tariffs for now, but China is going throughout the Middle East, Latin America, the Caribbean, ASEAN nations, all the BRICS nations, and American auto manufacturers, like in Mexico as well, they're going to lose huge market share. So that dividend that GM is paying is going to decrease considerably. And until they allow these partnerships to take place, if they don't, they will crumble. So what else is happening? Well, GM's 100-year-old China business can't keep up with the EV boom there. Mary Barra, CEO of General Motors, got a question at a recent panel that almost every auto CEO has grappled with in the past year. Why is your company doing so poorly in China? This was the question. And before I go any further, guys, all I ask is for you guys to hit that thumbs up, because it takes a lot of time to do these videos and the editing. It will help bring awareness not just to the channel, but to NIO as a whole. And I will, as usual, put the link to that Facebook group that one of our subscribers, Zahir, and I started. That's a pure NIO bull group. So onwards with the video. So she was asked, every time the CEO has grappled with in the past year, why is your company doing so poorly in China, the largest automotive market in the world. Because, and allow me to say this, it's the most competitive. In America, people will buy the GM, the Ford, the Toyota, etc. because we have no choice. But where there's a choice, the people will choose what's superior at an affordable price, of course. Less than a decade ago, China was an easy source for cash for GM. China was an easy source of cash for General Motors in China a decade ago. The same now America is telling China, you can't come here. But that will change. It says an automatic $2 billion a year dividend for investors, says David Whitson, an analyst with Morningstar. The US auto giant sold millions of Buicks and Chevrolets in China, and for more than a decade sold more cars in China than in the home market of the US. Yes. It's a different story now. GM's China business, primarily a joint venture with state-owned automaker SAIC, is now losing the car maker millions of dollars a quarter. You heard that right. They're losing millions of dollars a quarter. As EV players like Elon Musk, Tesla, and local competitors like BYD, Geely, Chang'an, NIO is stealing market share. And it says, and Geely muscle out GM's tired and true models. They are tired. When you have more than 100 domestic Chinese OEMs, original equipment manufacturers, entering the market, most of which are losing money, it has become a race to the bottom with pricing and the level of subsidies. A lot of them are going to fall to the wayside. Barra said to an editor-in-chief, Alison Shontel, at the Fortune Most Powerful Women Summit in Laguna Niguel, California in October. So she's saying most of them will fall to the wayside, and that's true. GM will be one of them. To be sure, subsidies play a role, just like when Elon was getting huge subsidies in the beginning here in America. But so does GM's failure to adapt to a rapidly changing Chinese market that's quickly embracing electric cars. People want technology, not just polluting gas guzzlers. In a December security filing, GM put a number on how much its flailing China business will cost. In December, GM put a number on how much its flailing China business will cost. $5 billion in write-downs and restructuring changes. On January 28, after the story was originally published, GM reported an almost $3 billion net loss for the final quarter of 2024, which it blamed on China restructuring costs. Yes, they have to restructure, they have to keep up, but can they? Do they have the technology to keep up with China? Well, we see Lucid Motors bought NIO EV, and tore it down to try to steal the technology, and now they have something like Nomi, but not Nomi. Nomi is artificial intelligence within the car that does a lot of functions. GM is not alone. All the legacy car giants missed the EV transformation in China and are now struggling to catch up. But GM's China struggles could signal something else for the once globe-trotting automaker. As the massive US market hesitates to embrace electric cars, can American car makers stay relevant in a global market that's going in another direction? No, they can't. They will have to adopt it, or they will fall to the wayside. GM has been in China for more than a century, and China never imposed tariffs, did they? In 1924, Puyi, China's last emperor, imported 2 Buicks into Beijing's Forbidden City. Buick became the car of choice for Republican China's political and business elite. Driving around the streets of Intua, Shanghai in the 1930s, the brand boasted that 1 in 6 Chinese cars was a Buick. GM was frozen out of China after the communist takeover in 1949, but decades later, GM was one of many foreign automakers to make its way back to the country. As it reported to the outside world in 1997, GM launched its joint venture with SAIC Motor. You see, history is our best teacher. I kept saying that. By 1999, its factories were starting to roll out Buicks for the Chinese market. Chinese consumer flocked to the storied US brand. As many as 80% of all Buicks were sold in China. And I know growing up in Trinidad, the guys who had American cars, those cars were really looked at as the best. And it was at that time, in the 70s, in the 60s. The Buick has a royal bloodline, one Chinese salesman told the Wall Street Journal in 2004. It stands for luxury and safety and an earlier era of America. An earlier era of America. In fact, Buick's survival as a brand is due to China. Just like Tesla. Again, history repeating itself. Due to China. When GM was frantically trying to slim itself down amid the 2008 financial bailout, Buick survived because of then CEO Fritz Henderson's passionate belief in Buick's China's appeal. As Obama's bailout chief Steve Ratner recounted to Fortune 2009, in addition to its joint venture with SAIC Motor, GM and SAIC have stakes in a joint venture with Wuling Motors, making small, ultra-affordable micro EVs for the thrifty Chinese drivers. Now we have Firefly coming to steal that market share yet again away from GM. Yet GM's China sales have sunk dramatically from their peak in 2017 from 4.4 million vehicles down to 1.8 million in 2024. And that will decrease yet again in 2025 by probably about 500 million. China's changing car market overtook GM's ability to adapt. In 2019, Tesla opened its factory in Shanghai, the first to be wholly owned by a foreign car maker, and started churning out EVs for the Chinese market. Chinese consumers flock to new energy vehicles, a category that includes both plug-in hybrids and battery electric vehicles, because people want computers. They don't just want a gas guzzler anymore. Dozens of EV startups popped up across the country, sparking innovation and competition. Spurred at least initially by generous production subsidies from Beijing and other provisional governments, by 2022 BYD, which has existed for just a quarter of GM's lifespan, sold more than 1 million cars. That's how long BYD has been around too, guys. For the first time, and sold 4.3 million cars in 2024, putting it in the same range as Honda or Ford. Xiaomi, best known for smartphones, debuted its first EV a year ago. It has already sold 144,000 cars. So I'll skip through some of this. And basically, guys, what the article is getting at is NIO and the rest of the Chinese EV companies are now on the rise. Of course, some of them will fall to the wayside. A lot of them are going to fall to the wayside if they don't adopt battery swapping. This is the key, because it's the only way going forward so that your car holds its value. After 8 years, a Tesla, an XPeng, a BYD, a Xiaomi, they will all fall to the wayside unless they adopt battery swapping. As we see now, NIO has teamed up with Germany in order to draft battery swapping standards. It is just the writing on the wall. It's showing you it's here to stay. And we are the leader and the first. So I hope you guys yet again found this video to be informational, inspirational, and motivational. If so, guys, do not forget to hit that thumbs up. It takes a lot of time to do these videos and the editing. And if you haven't yet subscribed, you might want to think about doing so, because this channel, we are waking up the middle class for the first time to get a major piece of the pie from the ground level as to how the game is played in Wall Street. And like 50 said, we get rich or we die trying, guys.